And now, if you would be so kind as to take a moment and unplug from your devices and plug into your imagination. Shit. Oh, sorry. I've just been informed that the star of the show, the cat, she's not coming. She says,
The host.
and I quote, "You can go ahead and do it without me. Go ahead and be my understudy." End quote. God, great. I was afraid something like this might happen. Please do your best to imagine that I am a cat. Dear undecided voter, I get it. Making decisions can be a real tail twister, or in your case, like a real mind melt. I experience indecision every day. Do I want to go outside or do I want to stay inside? Like, should I lick my belly or lick my butt? Dry food, wet food. I mean, the list goes on. Indecision is not just a human experience. I was extremely undecided and uneasy about whether or not to share my letter with you. I asked myself, what could go wrong? A lot. Like, you could get pissed off and do weird shit. I mean, people are afraid to even put up yard signs for Pete's sakes, let alone bare their soul. Then I asked myself, what would I have to gain? You and I might connect on a deeper level. Next, I asked myself, what would you have to lose by hearing my story? An erroneous belief or two? We all have them. I used to vehemently believe with every cell of my body that calico cats were neurotic, ridiculous, and not worth my time. Then I got to know one personally. But more on that later. And finally, I asked myself, like, what might you have to gain by hearing my story? A deeper understanding of humans you vehemently believe are neurotic, ridiculous, and not worth your time. I mean, what harm could there be in that? Discomfort, yes. Harm? Only to your ego. So I came to the conclusion that it was in both of our best interests that I tell my story because you've been told a lot of lies. A lot. For starters, lies about childless cat ladies. As much as some very weird humans would like you to believe that childless cat ladies are, and I quote, miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. End quote. Not the ones I've known. The childless cat ladies I've known are some of the happiest humans I've ever had the pleasure to meet, despite being discounted, disrespected, and completely misunderstood. I've watched childless cat ladies with my own two eyes, working tirelessly to make not just their country, but the entire planet not only a less miserable place, but a happier and healthier place to inhabit. And not just for you Homo sapiens. Meow! I'm getting emotional. Deep breath. I would be dead if it were not for the kindness of my many owners, all of whom fell under the much maligned, ridiculed, derided, scorned category of the childless cat ladies, who henceforth shall be crowned catwomen. I've recently been informed that my time is just about up. This 9 lives myth is bullshit. So let's get to the point here. Your indecision about who to vote for. Time to explore how one can go from indecision to decision. What's your first memory? My first memory was being ripped away from something soft and warm, stuffed in a dirty bag, thrown in the back seat of a car, and then tossed out the window into a cold, wet ditch. My next memory was being scooped up in a warm, dry towel and placed next to a salacious takeout container of shrimp and grits. From horror to bliss in seconds. The human who rescued me was livid, to say the least. I cannot fucking believe what the fuck those fucking fuckers just did. Actually, you know what? I can believe it. Of course, they threw you out the window with bumper stickers like theirs. I mean, they barely fucking slowed down. Oh, those fucking assholes. I almost got their license plate number. Oh, you poor thing. No, you lucky thing. They did you a fucking favor. You would not have wanted to live with them. Oh, if you ever want to know about somebody's character, just look at their bumper stickers. But don't you worry. I have intelligent bumper stickers. And once we get you home and dried off and fed and checked out to make sure you're not hurt, you can have a nice long rest while I go off to rehearsals. Rehearsal. Oh, well, you probably haven't heard of those. It's something actors do. I'll be gone for a couple hours or more, and then when I come back, we can get better acquainted. But in the meantime, we need a name for you. I'm thinking Blanche. I mean, it is the most obvious choice. My favorite line I've ever had the privilege to say on stage is, I've always depended upon the kindness of strangers. Oh, well, not that it describes you. You haven't lived long enough to say always. But if you do live a long life, you will realize that when a human is kind to someone they don't know, without expecting something in return, oh, that is the mark of a human being you can trust. That is how I got my first name, Blanche. Her name was Audrey. She didn't have kids, didn't want kids. What Audrey did want was to give kids the chance to do this thing called theater, to act and sing and dance. Audrey had written her PhD dissertation on the benefits of theater. She proved through extensive research that theater was a vital key to human growth and development and having a fucking good time. Audrey told me that humans came in 2 flavors, ones who were comfortable opening their minds and ones who were uncomfortable opening their minds. She had no patience with the latter. After a few months, or maybe a few years, I'm not good at this time thing. Audrey's theater got the hatchet. The governor had declined the offer of reading Audrey's dissertation. He viewed the arts, especially theater, as a gateway drug. So anyway, Audrey's mom and dad got sick, and they didn't have something called insurance. They were also allergic to cats. Audrey decided to move back home and take care of them. It was a complex decision to make. However, Audrey used her special formula, which she shared with me. Listen here, Blanche. Never make a decision from a place of high emotion and low information. That's how humans get tricked into falling for charlatans. Blanche, if you're hungry and some human waves a dead mouse in front of you and tells you that if you eat that dead mouse, well, you will be rich and famous and happy, don't buy it. That fast-talking wolf in sheep's clothing, flim-flam bamboozler, is taking advantage of your hunger, taking advantage of your fear that you may never eat again, and pegging you for a cat too afraid to stand up for common sense, knowledge, and facts. That dead mouse could be poisonous. So you do what a smart cat does. A smart cat reads about dead mice from multiple sources and perspectives that have been edited and peer-reviewed. A smart cat thinks about what she's read and listens to the experiences of other cats who have eaten dead mice. And here's the important part. A smart cat contemplates their findings with an open mind and asks herself two vital questions before making a decision based on low emotion and high information. Number one, does this human offering me a dead mouse know anything about my life? And number two, does this human offering me a dead mouse give a shit about me? Blanche, people who do not know you and don't care about you, oh, they want you to get all wrapped up in a dither. Because when you're in a dither, you have no access to your cerebral cortex. It's their formula for getting you to give them your money, give them your vote, or eat their dead, poisoned mouse. A smart cat and a smart human know that wise decisions come from a place of low emotion and high information. Wowzers, that was a lot to think about. So I did. It was sad saying goodbye to Audrey. But fortunately, Audrey's girlfriend, Agnes, owned a bookstore that had a problem with mice. Agnes was an exceptionally smart and kind human. Audrey and Agnes were uncommonly happy humans, deeply in love with each other and their lives. They woke up every morning thinking about one thing: how to make the world a better, kinder, smarter place for all humans and animals. They were so not miserable. Deep breath. In my new home, Open Minds bookstore, I was engulfed by an intoxicating aroma, the scent of brand new books. Oh, and the mouse dilemma was prodigious. The morning after my first night, when Agnes got to work, she was greeted by not one, not two, but three dead mice in a row on her desk. After she regained her composure, she looked at me approvingly and said, "Well done, Zena." And that's how I got my second name. Oh, by the way, the naming of cats can be a difficult matter. It's not just one of your holiday games. And that is according to this guy, T.S. Eliot, who wrote an entire book about it. And he says all cats must have 3 different names. So I'm almost there. Okay, back to my story. Then one night, Agnes can't stop crying. She's inconsolable. It's the end of the world. I mean, I can't believe this happen? This is hell. I'm gonna be sick. My head is exploding. The world has gone back to the dark ages. How did we let this happen? Shit. Agnes told me a human, or a sort of human, known and sadly revered by too many for his lack of kindness, had become the president of some United States. Not only did he spout unkind nonsense, he was proud of it. And he didn't read books. His motto was deny, deflect, delay. Agnes wiped her tears, threw her imaginary hatchet, and said, "Oh, listen here, Xena, warrior princess, killer of mice. Unless we get our shit together, quit crying, and do what childless cat ladies have always done, clean the litter box and start marching. We are going to find ourselves back in the days of witch burning." Yuck! The bookstore, it became a sea of human laps, coffee cups, pizza boxes, posters. Every night, I learn about democracy, feminism, racism, classism, ageism. People read, discuss, debate, listen. To make a smart decision, one needs to be well read, which means reading multiple perspectives. One also needs to sit quietly and think with an open mind, and this lays the groundwork for low emotion and high information. And then one night, someone throws a brick through the window and starts the bookstore on fire. Clearly a decision based on high emotion and low information. Fortunately, I escape, but I can't decide where to go. So I calm down. I mull over the knowledge I've acquired about people who like books and reading, and about people who burn books and ridicule reading. I make my decision based on low emotion and high information. See, I had come to associate the smell of books with kindness, dry, warm places to sleep, and intelligent, trustworthy humans. And when a big brown truck appears in the alleyway and the driver opens the door and steps out, I get a whiff of books. Kid you not. The driver takes one shocked look at the burned out store, jumps back in the truck, and gets the hell out of there. But not before I quickly sneak in. Then the big brown truck stops at a place called a library. The truck door opens. I get the same whiff of books. I run out of the truck and into the library. The driver almost drops her boxes. A human with humongous eyeglasses runs after me. I hide. It's not long before I hear a soft, quiet voice. "Oh, my goodness gracious. Hello there, smart cat. My name is Thelma. Oh, I'm a friend of felines, you betcha. And don't you worry, I'll protect you. I'm one of those childless cat ladies that stupid, small-minded, scared bullies like to make fun of because their souls are replete with self-hate and shame. They call me barren, past my prime, and without purpose because I haven't pushed out offspring. Little do they know I am exceedingly fruitful and oh, so powerful. I'm a fucking librarian. I guard the portal of knowledge. And I tithe to the Humane Society. So you can trust me. You betcha. Whew. I make a decision to get to know Thelma. It's a decision partly based on the high emotion of hunger, but also based on the high emotion of her words. Thelma opens a can of artisan shrimp pate. I emerge. She inquires. So, what do you think about the name Louise? I've got my third name. Residing at the library was most agreeable. Every day, new words, new ideas. I mean, I'm not sure how long I was there, a few months, few years, but one day, Thelma comes to work and starts throwing things around. She picks up a letter and reads it out loud to me. And I quote, due to the harmful nature of certain books, which cause children to feel bad about slavery and encourage teens to engage in disgusting same-sex relationships. Oh, it has been decreed for the health and well-being of our community to remove these vile books from the shelf until further notice. End quote. Louise, I'll bet you all the shrimp pate in the world, the humans who made this high emotion, low information decision have not read a single one of these titles. Making decisions without knowing what you are making a decision about is the first step in making an uninformed decision. Listen to me, Louise. If you want to make an informed decision, you have to fucking comprehend what you are making a decision about. You've got to chill out and read. Now, that would make a good t-shirt. Louise, before you decree a book harmful, make sure you've read it first, or else you look like a nincompoop. Love that word. And after you read the book you're getting ready to burn, think about what you've read and listen to others with a different viewpoint talk about the same book, and then cogitate on their views. And if you want to be rational and discriminating, make a list of what you've learned. Not what you believe or what you feel, but what you've discovered. And then have the balls to accept or at least tolerate what you didn't fucking know. Remember that, Louise. You betcha. One night, Thelma comes into the library, looks at me, and says, "Oh my goodness, Louise, I've been fired. You and I are going on a journey." I was put in a very nice cage, given a big scoop of artesian shrimp pate with some hard, chalky thing in the middle. Next thing I know, I'm taking my first plane ride. That's when things became problematic. Thelma and I get separated at the border, whatever that is. Apparently, I did not have the proper papers or the approved shots. I become an illegal feline. I get put in a very small cage and then taken to a cold room with a lot of other animals in small cages. And there isn't much to do but watch and listen and learn, which is really quite a lot. I give solemn consideration to all that Thelma said. I will not be a nincompoop who decrees a book evil before taking the time to read it. One night, guard number 1 says to me, "How would you like to come home with me?" And then guard number 2 says, Nah, she's going to come home with me. Guard number one looks at guard number two and says, I'm sure she knows what's best for herself. She doesn't need us telling her what to do with her life. I mean, why don't we let her make her own decision? Duh. I compile all I know or am reading about these two humans or books, and I make a list, as Thelma advised, based not on my beliefs or my feelings, but on my discoveries. Guard number one is kind to the animals, makes sense when he opens his mouth, asks my permission before petting me, and cleans my litter box very well. Guard number two pulls my tail, laughs at my skittishness, knocks my water bowl over, and never cleans a single litter box. Guard number one is skilled at his job. Guard number two doesn't know jack shit about his job. Guard number one is hardworking. Guard number two is the laziest human I've ever seen. I read both books. Then I make a decision based on low emotion and high information. By the way, if you're trying to decide between the human who respects you or the human who makes you sick to your stomach, go with the human who respects you, especially if you identify as female. I make a healthy and wise decision and find myself in a large vehicle called an RV. Guard number one and his friend take excellent care of me. I am well fed, safe, and respected. I do not feel sick to my stomach. Oh, they listen to something called audiobooks, which I highly recommend as a means of enhancing one's acquisition of knowledge. They say I am a perfect fit for their dear friend Edith, who owns a famous world-renowned nightclub, Edith's Eden. And that's how I find myself living in a gay bar watching 8 drag shows a week. Everyone there is kind, smart, beautiful, well-read. No one has kids, no one is miserable, and no one is trying to make the world miserable. When I meet Edith, a stunningly beautiful, smart, kind, happy trans woman, they take one look at me and say, "Ooh la la! What is your name? You sexy beast, you." Oh. The cat got your tongue? Oh, don't you worry, mon chéri, sweet kitty cat. I will come up with the most perfect name for you. What do you think about Serpentina? Name number 4. They call me Tina for short, and this is how I end up for years or months, who knows, being a show cat, with my very own Facebook and Instagram account. And I can't help but hope Audrey, the theater Catwoman, finds out. She would be so proud. It is one of the happiest times of my life. I'm awash in love, kindness, singing, dancing, sequined gowns, extravagant wigs, long eyelashes, high heels. I learned that, personally, for myself, I prefer the pronouns them and they. One night, a group of people come into the bar. They don't smile. They don't drink. They purse their lips and watch the show. They are from the church next door. Oh, how do I know this, you ask? One Sunday, the church left their back door open, and I went in and hid and watched. I saw humans singing, shouting, clapping, moaning, arm waving, beautiful wigs, high heels, lots of humans having a good time, just like at Edith Eden. So I was confused, perplexed, no, flummoxed when the humans from the church next door said the dancing and singing at Edith's Eden was bad. But why? Just reminded me of something I read by this Shakespeare guy. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. The last thing Edith tells me is, Tina, 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 Tina. If you find yourself having to decide between denying your truth or expressing your truth, you are not in a healthy culture. In a healthy culture, everyone is free to dance, dress, and worship in the way that best suits. Edith's Eden was shut down. Edith went to jail. I went to the Humane Society, which is not as bad as you think. It's where I learned to open my mind with regard to my erroneous and false beliefs about calico cats. They are not neurotic or ridiculous. I was wrong. Audrey would be proud of me. So there's a volunteer at the Humane Society, Penelope. I like her. She tells me even though she is child-free, she does have a flock of parishioners. They call her Pastor Penelope. Oh, Pastor Penelope loves to pick me up and whisper in my ear. May you be at peace. May you know love. May you release fear. Amen. Wow. And then a dreamy sensation washes over me, very similar to the time I tried catnip. Anyway, one day an odorous human comes up to Penelope and demands, "Get me a cat who kills mice. How about this one?" He grabs me. He won't let go. Intense physical pain courses through me. I quickly make a decision. I empty my bowels and my bladder. I'm thrown against the wall. Then people whip out their phones and start taking photos and videos. Turns out the odorous human is running for something called political office. Pastor Penelope scoops me up and whisks me out to her car. And as we make our getaway, she says, "Ah, you are one undaunted and audacious feline." And that's how I get name number 5, Frida the Fearless. But Pastor Penelope has a problem. She's on her 9th church. She keeps being transferred because she isn't a good fit. And the more she stands at the pulpit and preaches unconditional love, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, like this Jesus guy did, the fewer people show up on Sunday mornings. One Sunday, after only 2 people come to church, she sits down next to me in a pew and says, "I was just told that I should be preaching about locking up trans people and locking up doctors who perform abortions instead of my love and kindness crap." Then she picks me up and starts massaging my ears and scratching under my chin. And I almost fall asleep until I hear her say, Frida, I'm leaving. What's the point in preaching love to people hooked on fear? What is the point? Maybe if humans relaxed a bit more, like opened the big brain between their ears, maybe they'd be less hooked on fear. And then Penelope says, Frida, if you're faced with a big decision, know this. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. That same night, a woman shows up at the church. She's one of the very few who keeps coming to hear Pastor Penelope. Her face has an ugly scratch. Her arms have bruises. She looks at me and asks, can, can I please hold your cat? And the rest, as you humans like to say, is history. Penelope leaves. I move in with Darla. Darla was trying to make a very big decision. One night, she looks at me and says, Frida, should I leave him or stay with him? I mean, either way, I'm scared. I tell her if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. One day, Darla says, Frida, I've made my decision. I'm leaving. It's a hell yes, and I'm taking you with me. Then Darla found out she was pregnant. She wanted to get an abortion, but she had to travel to another state. By the time she found a way there, she had missed her appointment. She had to take pills. She got sick. She went to the hospital. They were too scared to help her. It was too late. Darla didn't make it. I heard all this from, it's like my hiding place. Abortion, I mean, for a lot of humans, is one of those high emotion, low information topics. There is a lot of such topics. And after that, I found myself living on the streets. Fortunately, I had become adept at identifying humans to avoid. You know, the ones who say bad things about women, listen to only one news source, can't open their mouths without bragging. In short, humans who are uncomfortable with being empathetic and open-minded, which is curious because humans would not have evolved or be where they are today without those traits, empathy and open-mindedness. Anyway, I mean, it wasn't long before I started hanging around the dumpsters at the back of a hospital. There was this human who worked nights. She always gave me the cafeteria scraps when her shift was over. I hesitate to bring this up. It is a generalization, but the word on the street with cats is find a female, because females are more likely to feed you. And if you want to extrapolate from that in terms of making your decision about who to vote for, about who might be a wiser choice for a job that requires a compassionate, trustworthy, intelligent, doesn't need to be the center of attention, just needs to get the job done type of person, go ahead. Extrapolate, please. One morning, this human who is surreptitiously feeding me leans down and whispers, "My name is Natalie. I- I'm going to put this collar on your neck with my phone number and your new name, Jamaica. Well, you're getting some nice dreadlocks going there. And if anything happens to you, tell them to call that number. I mean, I'd take you home with me, but I'm living in my car right now. But once I get a place, you and me, we're going to make a good team. Two former homeless kindred spirits. And remember, Jamaica. And if you have a choice, between helping someone out or like not helping someone out, just try to help out." The security cameras caught Natalie feeding me. The hospital did not ascribe to Natalie's try to help motto, probably because it was owned by a corporate monolith hedge fund whose salient concerns were making money and image. Not healthcare, not patients, not staff. Image. The way the building looked, especially out back by the dumpsters. Animal control gets a phone call with the instructions to relocate the ratty-looking stray cat. And that's precisely what happened. Why didn't they call the phone number on my collar, you ask? Because they made a decision based on, you got it, high emotion and low information. Once at animal control, aka death row for cats, this human shoves me in a cage. Totally unnecessary. What did the human think? If they were kind, they wouldn't be doing their job? Cat women believe that kindness is everyone's job. It's the job of being human. If you can't be kind, how can you call yourself a human? At animal control, they put a date on your cage. It's your expiration date. Like I said, I don't do time very well, so dates on a calendar mean nothing to me. But one of the other cats there, a calico cat, wouldn't you know? Turns out she's an expert on time and a lot of other stuff. Now, I bet you smart humans are wondering, like, where I picked up my bias against calico cats. So I'll tell you. Other humans, other cats, social media, internet, TV, same place you all get yours. Anyway, one night the calico cat tells me that tomorrow is my expiration date, starting at midnight. My time is up. So I think, wow, that sucks. But good to know, because now I can spend my final night reminiscing about all the cat women I've known and how I got my 6 names and all the knowledge, wisdom, and nuanced understandings I've acquired. So I start telling this calico cat, who is one of the coolest cats I've ever met. I mean, basically the story of my life, everything I've just told you, the vital importance of theater, poetry, books, dancing, singing, art, catching mice, everything. And a few things I haven't told you. Because, I mean, well, there's some things that, unless you're a cat, you wouldn't get. Well, okay, I could be wrong. I'm trying to keep an open mind. Anyway, just as the clock strikes midnight, we hear the sound of feet walking down the corridor. We hear voices, keys jangling, door opening, light turning on. I open one eye. A kind face looks at me and says, "You look like a smart cat." The human reaches in and rubs my all-time favorite spot, looks at my collar, reads my name out loud, and a tear wells up. Jamaica, wouldn't you know? So, how would you like to come live with me at the White House? I don't know what a White House is, so I run through my checklist. This human gets all A's, no red flags. It's a hell yes. The human whispers something else. I can't tell you what it is. It's our secret. Human stands up, nods to the colleague, starts to walk out. The calico cat in the cage next to me hears it all, reaches out a paw to me, and I reach out a paw to her. And I swear on a stack of canned, woman-owned, organic, wild-raised, small-batched, handcrafted artisan shrimp pate, the hopefully soon-to-be next President of the United States turns around at that exact moment, looks at me, and then at the calico cat, and she says, "What the hell? I mean, let's take them both. And let me be clear, the last thing we need in the White House is vermin." And that's how I got my life back, by a pre-presidential pardon and an act of kindness. Kindness, it has more power than all the money and prestige in the world. Genuine kindness is an unconquerable, supreme, energetic, and sane beacon of light. Follow that. Cat women are keepers of truth, guardians of equality, role models for laughter and love, protectors of our planet, advocators of opportunities for all. And they are lifeguards of ideas, defenders of education, and exemplars of all that is possible when one reads and thinks with an open mind. And if you don't identify as female and or you are not child-free, you can still be a defender of truth, a champion for all, a protector of progressive ideas, someone who reads bravely, sits quietly and contemplates about what is not just best for them, but about what is best for everyone. All humans possess the possibility of making decisions based on low emotion and high information. You don't have to go into a fear freak out or be a nincompoop and a dither. I mean, you can make use of that big brain between your ears. Transcend your fear and bias, be guided by facts. Make your decisions with open minds, especially with regards to topics that you have zero personal experience with, as I was able to do about calico cats. And your brain is a fuck of a lot bigger than mine. So just imagine the possibilities. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Yeah, I mean, I said what I needed to say. Oh, I almost forgot. So there was this human at animal control who was an undecided voter. She heard my whole story and she said, hmm, 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 hmm. Makes sense. I mean, it's like that famous actress said, you don't need to push out a baby to push humanity forward. I thought about that. Pushing humanity forward. I think that means telling people when they've been lied to. Democracy requires honesty. Not this deny, deflect, and delay bullshit. That's as poisonous as a dead mouse. Ultimately, the decision all you humans are facing is between truth and lies, kindness or cruelty. Can I be totally honest with you? This letter is not solely about trying to help undecided voters. See, when Audrey, the theater Catwoman who rescued me from the ditch, who I hear is back doing theater and very happy. Anyway, when Audrey named me Blanche, huge thank you to Tennessee Williams, who I highly recommend you read. Anyway, back to me being named Blanche. Well, it started this fascination in me about kindness. And then at Agnes's bookstore, Open Minds, which is back up and thriving. And more good news, Agnes and Audrey are still madly in love. And Thelma, the librarian, got a job at a library in Mexico. And she's very happy. And Edith, formerly of Edith Eden, is out of jail and has a Netflix special. And they are very happy. Penelope, she opened a shelter for women and named it Darla's. I don't know about Natalie, but I have a good feeling she isn't taking shit from anyone. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So I read a lot of poetry while waiting around for mice at the bookstore, and I stumbled upon a poem by this Emily Dickinson person who, weirdly enough, did not care for cats. But she wrote this poem that starts with the line, "This is my letter to the world that never wrote to me." And I can't remember what comes next, but I remember the last line. "Judge tenderly of me." I reflected on that. It made me think. If humans judged each other a bit more tenderly, maybe it would help them lighten up a bit about, those high emotion, low information topics. Maybe. I guess this is really my love letter to kindness and to the childless cat ladies I have known and loved. Thanks for listening. It is still hard for me to decide some days whether to go out or to stay in. Sincerely and truthfully, your feline friend, Blanche, Zena, Louise, Tina, Frida, Jamaica. Holy Toledo. All right. If that cat misses one more show, we're gonna have to recast. That's it. The end. The show is done. Thank you so much for being here. I wrote and performed this show for 3 reasons: fame, power, and money. Fame, we got it. We're on YouTube. Power, Kamala and Tim got the power for the people. Money, that's where you come in. This is a benefit. You watch the show, you cough up the bucks. Not the hairball. $10, $20, $1,000,000. Cough it up. You'll feel better. Thank you.